Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rake the Take, a golf betting podcast hosted by me, Chris Lewis. And this week we have the Sentry at Kapalua, the Plantation Course. I'm really excited for this week. I'm just very excited for the golf season to be back in general for 2025. We don't have any more stinking fall events that are boring and don't have anybody. We got most of the top guys. No Scotty Scheffler, of course, because of his hand injury. But we got most of the top guys. We're back. We got a designated event. Around only 61 players in the field, or 60 players in the field. It's perfect. Let's go. I'm just so pumped. I love this place. I've visited many times. I've never been for the event, but I visited the course. They have a great restaurant, things like that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place to walk around. I love Kapalua. It's such a cool place. So I'm very excited for this week. Just a few little tidbits about the course before we kind of get into my picks. For one, I think this is definitely one of the most places in the PGA Tour where we see driving mean the least, which is kind of unusual. Usually, off the tee is a very predictable skill set on most courses. Here it's not, for two reasons. One, the fairways are just so wide. You can be wayward with the driver and still be in a good position. It doesn't really penalize you for that. And then the other reason is, even though it is a longer course, there are a lot of downhill slopes and things like that. So it's not really like you're going to be punished if you hit it 330 or something like that, because even if some of the longer hitters kind of have a lot more roll, you still should be in a fine position to be able to make a green in regulation if you're in the fairway. It's really about your wedge play and your iron play for most of this week. Having a good short game, being able to use the putter to an effectiveness is very important. The final scores are usually around like 20 to 30 under. So you're really going to need to make a lot of putts and convert a lot of opportunities. So that's really kind of it for this course. It's not really all that complicated. It's pretty straightforward on how to do well here. A lot of different guys can do well here this week. It's not a very difficult test by any means. But it's a nice, fun way to kind of begin the golf season. Let's go over my picks. First off, to no one's surprise, we got Patrick Cantlay. And Cantlay, he has a very good course history here. He has 2 top 5s, and has never finished outside of the top 20 in any of his starts here. So he's very comfortable around this course, which makes sense because he is a very proficient iron player and has a good short game. His driving over the past couple years has kind of been a little wonky, especially this season. He wasn't very accurate off the tee. So I don't think those problems should really follow him here. And it seems like over the past 6 months anyway, he's been kind of cleaning that up a little bit with a lot of consistency, performing well at the U.S. Open and having a lot of top 20 finishes to end the year. So I think Cantlay is in a good spot with his game. Tee to green, it looks like he's playing very well. He gained strokes tee to green in every category at the Hero World Challenge. Just lost strokes putting, which has kind of been a little bit of a bugaboo for him in some events. The putting has been frustrating, following him. He misses a lot of makeable opportunities, which is frustrating, but uncharacteristic in a way. He should be making those. Like over the past few years, it's just been kind of a weird thing for him. He used to be a much more consistent putter than this. But I do think Cantlay does have a great opportunity to do well this week here. This is a good course for him. So I don't really, and he is kind of a Pete Dye specialist. So I think that this is a good place for him. One of my other picks is Cam Young. Cam Young's also coming off of a good event at the Hero World Challenge. He opened up with the opening round 64. The rest of the 3 days are kind of mediocre, but I think that was really mainly because of his putting. He wasn't really making a lot of putts, which has been his main weakness really throughout this whole season and most of his career, is that he has a beautiful tee to green game. It's just that his putting has not been consistent enough to be able to get that win that he's been searching so much for. But I think his game is in a good spot, and the Hero World Challenge really showed that. He has the ability tee to green to be a very effective player. He has a lot of upside. So I think that's kind of what I'm going for this week with him. I just think that his game is going to be in a comfortable space at a course where he's not going to be punished for being a little wild off the tee, and he can just kind of focus on dominating this place from tee to green aspect and hope to make some putts. And if he does make putts, there's no reason to think that he shouldn't be in the contention, given where his skill sets are at. So Cam Young, I like it. And then after that, we got Max Homa, who's coming off of a terrible season, especially in the last 6 months. He hasn't really had any top 20 finishes since, around the Masters and the Wells Fargo, where he was in contention for those events. And so, yeah, that's just really disappointing to see, because Homa's really been such a breakout player in recent history. It's like certain things about his game, like his driver, have really kind of gone down the tubes. And he just hasn't really been as consistent with his iron play because of that. But like I was saying, this course really doesn't punish you for bad off the tee play. And you can, and for Max Homa, that really puts him in his best spots to be able to really kind of use his irons, because he still has a magnificent short game and he's a good putter. So if he can just put himself in positions to be able to score, I think that's great. I think he should be able to convert on those. And we've seen a lot of signs at the Ned Bank, at the BMW, that the iron play itself is turning around despite the off the tee play. But overall, at the Ned Bank, he gained strokes tee to green in every category, and just didn't really do well putting. So, I think that's a good sign. Kind of like with a lot of these other guys, it's like, they should be much better putters. They didn't really putt well at their last start. But I think their game is looking in a much better place than some of these other guys who could be in a lot more of rust. So those are really my three main guys. And then I also got a long shot bet with Peter Malnati. He's not really playing very well at all ever since his win at the Valspar. He's been abysmal. But there's a few things I like about Malnati here. For one, his biggest weakness is off the tee. He's not very far of a hitter and not very accurate at all. But he's not going to really be punished for that here. So, I don't really care about the accuracy. And because of that, I think that kind of bumps up his iron play a bit. If he can be accurate, his iron play is typically, not bad. It's like he's not a great iron player by any means, but in the events where he's not really being punished, he can actually have some solid approach weeks, and he has a good short game. The main weakness for Malnati over the past few months has been he hasn't been that amazing with the putter. But I think in an event like this where it's probably just a bit more easier of conditions than what he's been playing in over the past few months, it should be a very welcoming sight. He has played well here in the past. He had a tie for sixth finish in 2016, where he really just kind of dominated with his wedges and the putter and really didn't do anything off the tee. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. If he can do that, at the odds that they're providing you, seems like a great value. But I'm not really counting on it hitting. But just for example, like if he were just hit that tie for six and had a top, like he's plus 3,000 for a top 10. So I mean, it seems like why not take that? Especially given the guys that I have, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with my top three guys. Even though there are some concerns, of course, but I think Malnati is a solid bet. I like the odds at plus 50,000. It seems like a good long shot. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the betting card. That's all I got this week. I'm super excited to start the golf season off again. Thank you so much for listening, and hope you guys enjoy the Sentry this week.